The Dewalt DW733 has been the go-to thickness planer for small shops for years, but at 2.5 times the price of some of its cheaper competitors, is it still worth it? Let's find out.
Okay, so I'm supposed to be getting a cheap jointer thicknesser, the sort of thing that you can get from Screwfix for about 190 quid, something like that. Now this costs considerably more than 190 quid, but my thought process was buy once, cry once. If I buy the cheap one, probably going to end up with this in the future anyway, so let's just get it over with. I've got a really small shop, the space is a premium, I've not really got space for a huge jointer or anything like this. I've got some plans for this, some projects I'm going to be using this on in the next couple of months, so let's see if it still stacks up and is worth that £519 price tag that I paid in August 2024. Let's get into it. First impressions out of the box, this thing is solid. It absolutely weighs a ton. I think it's something like 35, 37 kilos, which double it, something like 70 odd pounds. So this thing feels so solid, feels so sturdy. Just little things like these in-feed, out-feed tables, they are so strong that you've got no concern about putting stuff through this. It feels like it's going to last a lifetime. Whether or not that's the case remains to be seen, but first impressions are really, really good.
So let's have a closer look. Now I know I've just mentioned it, but I am really impressed with these in-feed, out-feed tables. They are really solid and feel really quality. We've obviously got the on-off switch at the front, and then we've got a little arrow to make sure that you're putting the wood through the right way. You do not want to feed this the wrong way. We've then got a gauge showing you how much you're going to take off in a single pass, and then you've got a main thickness gauge which then shows you the total dimensions of the stock that you're going to be putting through. And good job I checked before I turned this thing on, because I found some random spanners and attachment tools that were floating around in the bottom. Pretty sure they're not supposed to be there. You don't want to put spanners through a thicknesser. I didn't read the instructions, but I do know that. On the back I found a little holder for the tools, the adjustment tools, which is handy, so it keeps them nearby so they're always there when you need them. And the dust extraction hood connects to this black piece of plastic going across the middle. And on the top you've got the handle which lets you adjust the depth. Now this actually feels really quality, and you've also got some carrying handles as well, but I'd recommend carrying it with a friend because this thing is chunky.
Worth mentioning as I've unwrapped this, bonus points for the cable. We like a long cable, gives us options. Very good. Okay, so the first downside is the instructions. Now, I'm not normally one to be pouring through the instructions in a huge amount of detail, but this thing has the ability to eat me alive. So I thought, before I start turning this thing on, let's have a quick look and see what we think, just to make sure that we're not going to take any fingers off. So I started having a look, and fair enough, whatever. It's got your overall info, bits and bobs. So you got a lot of pictures, which probably are fairly self-explanatory, but maybe some words would be useful. And then a couple of pages later, you've got some instructions in words, which, why not put them together? That would make things a whole lot easier, because that does not entice me to read them, so probably not going to read them. If I lose my fingers, it's your fault. So it's time to give this thing a test. So what I thought I'd do to start off with is run a piece of 5x2 through it. So nice soft construction grade wood. Good first test to see how we get on, and then we'll go on to some harder woods from there. But as luck would have it, some local youths have graffitied all over this piece of wood. So hopefully running it through the thicknesser, we'll be able to get this looking good as new all over again. Because that's the last thing we want, isn't it? Okay, so I am impressed with that. The difference, the feeling of this, it feels so smooth compared to the rough side, the standard side that comes out of the factory. That is a really good finish, considering it's cheap wood, and all them marks from those local youths have gone, so that's always good. So now maybe we'll give it a bit of a go on something a little bit harder than this, so let's see what we've got in the scrap pile. Okay, so I've got a nice piece of oak here, so obviously significantly harder than the wood we've just planed through there, so this is pretty rough at the minute. There's quite a lot of dings on it, so slide it through, see what difference it makes, and how how it handles a bit of hardwood. So once again, same with the yoke, goes through absolutely fine. Got a nice smooth finish on it. It's not finish grade, you'd still need to sort of maybe hit it with a hand plane possibly just to really smooth things down just a little bit more, but certainly takes the thickness off much easier than any other way that you can do by hand anyway. So really happy with that. One of the things that I've noticed as well as I've been using it is the dust extraction is pretty good. You know, when you're thinking about using one of these machines, you're probably thinking you're going to get quite a lot of chips and stuff like that. I've hooked it up to my dust extractor and I've got a few little bits coming out on the table, but overall not that much at all. It seems to be taking them down quite fine. I'm only taking light passes and the dust collector's making a great job of that. So yeah, top marks all around so far. And I know that one thing people do say with these machines is they are quite loud. Yeah, it's loud, especially when you've got it hooked up to a dust collector that comes on automatically as well. Both of them running in a small space, you know, I did feel it in my ears a little bit afterwards, so probably open the door next time. And yeah, I think it comes with the territory. For this sort of tool, it's doing a lot of work, so it's going to be noisy, but I think definitely the benefits outweigh that small negative, so I'm not going to hold that against it. So as I mentioned, I've got a few things in mind for this. Now, the first project that this is going to be used for is a workbench that I'm working on. So I'm building a Nicholson workbench. I'm going to do that as a bit of a series, and the first part is already done. It's sat just over there. But what I need this for is when I'm going to start putting the top together, I want something that I can run construction grade lumber through that's going to get nice clean surfaces for me to glue up and laminate to make the top. So that's going to be the first use for this. But the main reason that I got this tool was the width. So this has a planing width of 13 inches. So primarily the main thing that I make is guitars. So you should in theory be able to get an entire guitar body through that, with most guitars being around sort of 12.5 inches, something like that in width. That alone means I can make a guitar body, put it through this in one pass, and hopefully be able to work down the thickness much quicker than I'd be able to do previously with hand planes and things like that. I'm really happy with it. Yes, it's quite a lot of money for a tool that just does one job, but that one job is hopefully going to save me a lot of time in the future. So what do you think? Do you think it's worth it in 2024 to pay £500 odd for a thicknesser like this? Or do you think that you're paying a little bit of a premium for the Dewalt name? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.